So many things contribute to making up the atmosphere of your home. I think that all of us want an atmosphere that is nourishing for our children. I mean, the atmosphere is where your students tell what's important to you outside of school lessons. So today we want to give you some ideas for creating a nourishing atmosphere during the holidays. Welcome to the Simply Charlotte Mason podcast. I'm Sonia Schaefer. Joining me today is my friend and coworker, Laura Pitney. Laura, it's great to have you back. We want to talk today about creating an atmosphere in your home during the holidays, but not just any atmosphere. I mean, there are many atmospheres we could create, you know?
Yes.
But a nourishing atmosphere, one that nourishes the spirits and emotions and, yes, the bodies, of our children. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think that trying to find the right balance in how we nourish our children and our family is really important. I think that, it's not only protecting us from the busyness and the comparison and all the crazy of life in general, but especially during the holiday season, that it's really important to be purposeful about what you do and how you do it. And holidays are a great time to kind of stop and evaluate really what's important to you and to your family.
That's true, because when you set aside schoolwork during holiday seasons, however long that might be, I'm not necessarily recommending you set it aside for 6 weeks.
Sure.
Some people
Which
might
would be
able
nice.
to.
Sign me up. Just kidding.
But during the times, we do seem to have more extended time of no schoolwork during those holiday seasons.
Yeah.
And that's the time when atmosphere can really make an impression.
Yes. And I feel like, sometimes we really thrive in the routine of things and knowing what our schedule is going to be and what we need to accomplish. So sometimes it can kind of be overwhelming to not have a schedule or to not know what your days look like, especially when your children are smaller. But if you really want to take the time and be purposeful about what you do during your off time, I think it really is a happy place to be. So for instance, if it's a time you want to catch up on things around your house, or if it's a time where you want to redo your book basket for those favorite holiday books, or maybe create an hour every day in your schedule to where you come together as a family to talk about, maybe seasonal topics or just that time of connection. So, how your home functions, I think, supports that emotional nourishment we're talking about, which I know we'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
But I also feel like if you are conscious of the little things, like physically in your house that maybe just bring life, like changing out a tablecloth, or, getting that special candle out, or an activity or puzzle, or just the items look different for everybody, but they start triggering memories and traditions and time together. So if you can evaluate maybe what works for you, when you can make it happen, I feel like those physical items and how your home functions really flows into that nourishment physically. And having rest time, like just downtime that's different to your schedule, just letting your body rest. Or we talk about even the masterly inactivity of just time to process and think. And I just feel like all of that just feeds into the right kind of nourishment and balance.
So I've heard several aspects. I want to drill down into each one. This is great. You've talked about your calendar, your schedule.
Yes.
You've talked about the physical surroundings, what you see and hear and smell and all of that. And you've talked about the emotional and your attitudes.
Yes.
So, okay, which one do you want to dive into first?
I don't know. You pick.
All right, let's do them in that order then. Let's start with calendar, your schedule.
Yeah.
One thing that has struck me lately, Charlotte said that wonderful quote, which I'm not going to say the quote exactly, but it was that the children are more apt to get into mischief when the day's routine is out the window. She did not use that term.
Which is probably true.
But it made sense. It finally clicked to me why that is so. Because when you have to constantly think about, well, what should I do next? and come up with what to do next. That's requiring a lot of effort.
Yeah.
And you've put so much effort and energy into deciding what you should do that you don't have as much effort and energy left over to contribute to self-control.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
makes
kind of
sense.
a give and take situation, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, I think that really works well when you have younger children. I mean, they just thrive with boundaries.
Yeah.
They like to know expectations, and if anything gets off on the routine, it takes them a minute to pivot and
It can,
do
yeah.
the next thing. So I think,
But now you have, are they all high schoolers
yes,
now?
I have 4 teenagers at the moment.
4 teenagers
So,
now. All right, so talk to mothers of teenagers here.
so let me tell you some of my mistakes. How about that? So I feel like because I need to respect them as persons and young adults, if there's something I'm envisioning for my home, let's say time together that we schedule on our calendar, I just have to communicate that to them. I mean, I'm respecting them and their time commitments. My 2 older ones have jobs, so it's hard to get all of us together. It just is. And so the times that I want us to have a family dinner, or we've talked about, we have, this tradition during the holidays where we really like to do puzzles together. So it may be, hey, next Thursday, 1:00, be at the dining room table. We're going to do a puzzle. So planning those times of connection just is different now that they're older versus when they were younger. It was a matter of still functioning and accomplishing the things, the nap times, all the things, and they just would follow my lead. But now that
because they
they're
were
older,
always
right,
in the house, in
right,
the area, so it's
right.
just, hey, gather over here.
Right. So now I'm just learning that it just has to be scheduled. And I can't get mad at them for not spending time with me if I didn't ask them to spend time with me, or let them know, hey, I'm really missing you guys. We need to, schedule a time together, because it just doesn't happen otherwise. And I hate to say that, but, it's just a balance of me clearly communicating to them and and also respecting what they have going on, especially because they're just in that transition phase of making good decisions and making decisions for themselves. And then, hey, I'm still your mom. Don't forget about me, and now that we're past a lot of the nitty-gritty traditions that maybe we did during the holidays, they look forward to it. Or they'll say, we'll get together to spend time together, and they'll be like, remember when mom did this crazy thing? Or remember when we, went outside and made this with nature stuff? Or it's like our connection is reminiscing about the earlier traditions, or the things that I tried that epically failed. So it's just fun to get their perspective now. And that's a different way of connecting with them.
Do you give them some input into what those together times will look like now, then?
I do, just because I have 4 very opinionated children. So, I just kind of share with them my thoughts for what I would like to do with them. And some of them be like, that's stupid. I want to do that. Or some of them be like, that sounds great. So again, it's a life lesson that, first of all, it's not always convenient, or it may not be something you want to do, but out of respect for me or our family or our time together when, my husband's off work, I'm like, that's just a hard life lesson, that the important thing is being together, not necessarily that they always like what we're doing.
Yeah.
I want them to like it, but there's 6 of us, so somebody's going to be the one that is miserable.
Of course, yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
That's great. Are there any other tips about calendar and scheduling? I mean, that's
Yeah.
gold right there that you just shared.
Not other than, if they want to plan, I let them. Like if they show some initiative to want to do something. My oldest daughter, she is very, she loves to create the Hallmark movie in our home, meaning she wants the memorable moment, or she wants the baking cookies in the oven and while she wears her apron, she wants I don't know, that feeling of the atmosphere in that way. So if she wants, she'll come to me with an idea, and I'm like, that sounds great. Have fun doing that, because it's probably beyond me at this point.
Well, the baking cookies, I know, would not be your happy
Yes.
place.
So I'm like, I'll buy what you need or get the groceries. So if they show initiative, let them do it. I just feel like that's a value to them, and I don't want to kill their love of creating their own traditions, or as they come up with ideas, if I can foster it, I want to do that. So,
I'm going to assume, though, that you do agree to some things that are not your happy
oh,
place.
100%. And
Just like you expect some
Yeah.
of the children
Right.
to agree.
Right, right. Well, I've always said, and I know this is probably not great parenting advice, but like, train your children to do the things you don't want to do. So, it's interesting to see how when you give them the variety of chores or responsibilities, where some will like really latch on to something and learn to love it and enjoy it, and others are like, I really don't like this. Can I try a different chore? So again, it's a physical, tangible way to give them a variety of options to where they can find their niche or groove of things they might not have been exposed to otherwise. So
That's great. That's great. Okay, let's move to the physical surroundings.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
how do we nourish our
Yeah.
children and ourselves
Sure.
with our physical surroundings? The two of us, just full disclosure
Sure.
here,
Yeah.
we are complete opposites
Yes.
in this respect.
Yeah.
I am like, just give me a blank room and
Yeah.
I'm happy.
Yeah.
And you like to make it much more homey.
Sure. Yeah.
And so you have helped me
Yeah.
get over all the blank surfaces in my house and find a good happy medium for me there.
Yeah.
But talk a little bit about the
Yeah.
difference in personalities
Sure.
and how to find that happy medium. Why is it important?
Yeah. I think that there is nourishment to our hearts when our eyes see beauty. Just like when we see good pieces of art or when we're out in nature, there's just something about when we take in the beauty with our eyes that it just feeds our soul. It like uplifts our heart. So for me, we've moved a lot over the years, in whichever home we happen to be living in. We have certain things that, we pull out of a holiday box and I get it out, whatever the season is, and that triggers the memories or the atmosphere. So I feel like for me, it's not necessarily having all the things, but giving value to the things you do have. And so, right now with the teenagers, they love their fuzzy blankets. And so last year they all wanted like winter themed throw blankets. And so when I pull those, I put them away, for, spring, summer, and fall. And so when I pull those back out, that's just going to be a memory for them, physically, that they get that blanket out, that they're connecting to the atmosphere. So that goes wherever you are, So I feel like I used to put a lot more effort into decorating a lot of my home, which I still enjoy. But again, now that we're all older, it's more the memories and relations that are attached to the things. So that's kind of my take on it at this point in my life, if that makes sense.
I'm kind of in somewhat the same situation, but a little bit different. Most of my kids are grown and out of the house now. And with my personality, it'd be very easy to just not decorate
do
at
it?
all. Yeah, it's like, why do I get it out, put it up, and then have to take it down again? Makes no sense. But but I still have my youngest living with us, and she loves those family connections and memories and traditions that are attached to those things. So getting out the Christmas tree, we still have the old one that every branch comes out and they're color coded and you've got to put them each one in. But it's something we can do together.
Yeah.
And something she feels confident doing
Yeah.
because she's done it for so many years with me. So it is contributing to that nourishment. So even if you're not decorating, for those moms and dads who are like, why clutter the place up?
Right.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I'm with you. But even if you are not nourished necessarily by a lot of decorations or however many decorations you can stand, one of your children might be. I know certain personalities just
Like,
it
or
really
like the
feeds them.
visual learners, like just so like even when spring comes around and I change out some of our flowers and vases and just kind of freshen up for the new season. I mean, even that's like uplifting. So you can even if holidays aren't your thing, even if you do something maybe little seasonal, there's just something about it that just brings out that connection and new life in you, which I feel like is why God gave us season changes, is, kind of where you get kind of head down in the nitty gritty and all of a sudden the leaves are changing and, new life there, and then winter and spring. It just is a beautiful thing to where our hearts need that change just to, I feel like, renew the life in us. And I know that sounds weird, but I just feel like that's how we were created.
Yeah, it does. You're right. It's like your head down, and then suddenly you see something in nature that has changed, and it draws your heart back to the Creator.
Yeah.
And that's what refreshes you. It's like, oh, yes,
Yeah.
He's faithful.
Yeah.
We've got fall again,
Yeah.
at just the same time.
Yep. So I feel like it's a hard comparison nature to like living room throw blankets, but it's just part of just changing a few little things in your house, or all the things in your house. I mean, one of my sister-in-laws, she has, decorations for every room of her house, and she thrives in that, and she loves doing that. So whatever scale, that's going to look different for personalities, but I just think that there's value in it. And again, nourishing your children and your family by, those things in your home.
I like how you mentioned beauty,
Yeah.
bringing beauty to your home. And beauty can be evident in many different
Yeah.
ways.
Yeah.
So, yeah, good. Okay, let's talk then about emotionally.
Yeah, good. I don't know. I need some help emotionally too. So
Well,
nourish
especially
me.
when you got 4 teenagers and hormones are raging, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing I can think of is giving them your time. I think that's something that during the holiday season, it is easy to be wrapped up in the busyness and the schedules and the obligations. And so, again, if you're scheduling the time to connect, that's also going to nourish them emotionally because, it's a time of that connection. So I think for me, it is giving them the time, even if I don't want to give it to them. I just think giving them that attention really shows them that I care, even if it's 5 minutes. It doesn't have to be 3 hours, but I think emotionally, just so that they can talk and they feel heard. They may not necessarily want to hear what you have to say, but I just feel like there's a lot of processing that happens that whenever it comes out, you just want to make sure you can be available to listen. And then
Why is it so often that's at 10:30 at night?
100%, 100%. So we have this joke in our family right now. Like, I get my pajamas on, I'm like all ready for bed. I get in my bed, pull my covers up, and then I just wait. And within 5 minutes, all 4 of them are on the bed with me. And then Marvin will come in and be like, y'all know Mom's trying to go to bed, right? And they're like, oh, yeah, we know. And then, so eventually I have to just kick them out. But it's some kind of like signal. So when I pull the covers up, they all just come. So every night. So.
But that says something. That says a lot about their relationship with you, and that they know you will welcome them even when it's inconvenient.
Yeah. And when I start like not having words, or like I'm holding my eyelids open, it's like,
Nodding off between sentences, then they
So,
know.
the hardest part, honestly, with all of that is they want one-on-one time. So they usually argue and fight over who needs to leave the room so that they can have me by themselves. So that's been funny. So it's like whoever wants to get in there first has time, and then whoever stays the last has time, and it's just this whole ordeal. It's hard to balance. But
It sounds like it.
yeah,
but
it's funny.
it is nourishing.
It's a competition.
But that time alone
Yeah.
is nourishing. And I suppose during this, we could try to schedule some of that time.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to take child number 1
Yeah.
out for lunch this day,
Yeah.
or just out
Yeah.
to get some sweet tea or something,
Right.
It doesn't, or just for a walk around the mall. It doesn't
Yeah.
even have to be
Yeah. A
pay
big
any
deal.
money. Yeah.
Right.
But you could potentially schedule
Yeah.
one-on-one time with each child.
Yeah. And I think emotionally, when they're younger, you're trying to feed them with what maybe this is why we do things, or this is the reason for this season, or this is, you're trying to teach them really why your family does what they do. And so as they grow and start processing that and thinking about it, it's great opportunity for them to express back maybe why do we do this? Or when I was little, I remember this, but now I see the world differently. Or maybe they've been exposed to other family cultures or other religions or other whatever it is. And so for them to come to you to ask the questions or to process things, I feel like that's a way you nourish them emotionally, is for them to find their own footing and understanding why your family does what they do. So giving them the time, and then as they start processing and thinking through things, usually good questions come from them, which lead to good conversations. So it's just kind of a connection there as well.
And really, that's what atmosphere is.
Yeah.
It is the ideas that are important to you as a parent and how they are expressed in your home. And so your children are forming their own, which ideas are going to be important to me.
Yeah.
And you have a chance to speak into that and share verbally
Yeah.
what you've been demonstrating all along.
Right. So until they're ready for that, like, your 5-year-old may not go that deep.
Exactly. Yes.
But as they get older, they're going to remember. And, again, as traditions continue, or the different things you do as a family, maybe around Easter, or we have a thing on Memorial Day and Veterans Day that we always go try to find a park or some kind of ceremony that, honors veterans and things like that. So, that's not one of the, I don't want to say one of the major holidays, but not one of the traditional ones like Christmas or Easter, but like that's something that, we wanted to instill in our children, the value of, our freedom and the cost of that freedom. And so, they wouldn't have understood that necessarily when they were younger, but now that we've, kind of gone over the gap, and now that we can talk seriously about wars and, the cost of our freedom, it's just opportunities. And it's been neat to see the kids make the connections on their own based on the atmosphere of our home.
Yes.
So.
You're nourishing their minds as well as their hearts. And I think that's a key here, that as we look at the atmosphere that we are creating, we keep in mind the reason we're doing it is to nourish. Rather, it's not an
Check it off,
obligation,
or-
a duty. I've got to get out the decorations, but this is an opportunity to nourish them with beauty. And this is an opportunity to nourish them with myself, with time.
Yeah.
This is an opportunity to nourish them with, whatever it may be. But if we keep that in mind, I
think
think
it helps us stay motivated.
yes,
Yeah.
and hopefully we'll downplay that competition game, the comparison.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Thanks. If you enjoyed this podcast, be sure to subscribe through iTunes, Google Play, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, or your favorite podcast app so you don't miss an episode. You can also subscribe to the audio version on our website at simplycharlottemason.com. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time.